Thank you for that report, Kira. Now we turn to WRHU reporter Cameron Bowden, who we spoke to in Chicago just moments ago, on the topic of abortion and reproductive rights. Please take a listen. All right, Cameron, we've seen equal criticism given to both parties about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Trump has been criticized for his appointments of conservative justices to the Supreme Court. Now, on the other hand, Democrats have gotten criticism as well for not codifying Roe v. Wade over the last few decades. What have voters said to you up in Chicago about both sides of the matter?
We do have a lot of uncommitted voters, independent voters, and voters who largely don't know who they're going to be voting for this election. In terms of those uncommitted voters, we have plenty of them organizing protests in response to both the Republicans and the Democrats, right? This is not a one party is at fault issue for a lot of these protesters, for a lot of the protesting groups. For example, one organizer that I spoke to, Ann Robenberger of Bodies Outside of Unjust Laws, spoke to me and said that the Republicans and the Democrats are at fault here, but the Democrats specifically aren't doing enough to fight back against the wave of repression that we're seeing in terms of reproductive rights.
As much as we would like to say that, that Democrats are going to save us from the, specter of like losing all of our rights under Trump, we really need them to do better.
On top of that, you have other protesting groups who keep reproductive rights as a major important facet of their organization as their protesting means. However, it is largely surrounding Israel and Palestine. One example is the Answer Coalition. I spoke to Nino Brown, an organizer with them, who explained that the Democrats are largely failing to do what they need to do in order to protect reproductive rights for all Americans.
They use this as a political bargaining chip time and time again to get people to vote for the Democrats, but they fail to deliver time and time again.
So on top of that, I mentioned how there's independent voters and those who are unsure about what they are going to be doing this election cycle. And a lot of them do not support either party for the issue of reproductive rights. I mean, you're seeing a lot of people out here in the streets of Chicago saying, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm going to be voting independent because Kamala and the Democratic Party is not doing enough to protect abortion rights. But the Republicans are equally at fault, obviously, for initiating the process of instilling those justices that then in turn overturned Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision. So a lot of different voices here. Largely, you could see it along partisan lines, with Democrats obviously blaming the Republicans and Republicans blaming Democrats. But largely, the independent vote is where you're going to see a lot of that interesting, kind of dynamic surrounding the blame being put on both parties and who they're going to vote for as a result of that.
So, Cameron, of course, abortion and reproductive rights, they're considered a very important issue among certain voters. With who you've spoken to so far, does the significance of that issue vary based on any sort of demographics?
So a lot of women voters are keeping this as the most important key issue. But it's not just that. There are plenty of younger voters who are, seeing this issue as largely because the Democrats are failing to, succeed. One example is Caitlin Gladkowski. She's a Hofstra student who spoke to me and essentially said that the Democrats, are not doing enough, and that at this point it has been so long since the overturning of Roe v. Wade and the, passing of a Texas abortion ban that they've lost hope.
It's been going on for years now. We've watched it in other states. I mean, I was talking to my friend the other day, and I didn't even realize it's been 2 years since Texas passed, I think it was a 15-week abortion ban. And that's been 2 years.
So largely you can see a lot of this in terms of demographics lie on women and those who, have body parts that would produce a child, a baby. So that is the biggest issue for a lot of women voters and a lot of voters in specific at the DNC. Even tonight, one of the major themes is looking forward to our future. That's the big theme for tonight. And a lot of women voters, a lot of even those who support the reproductive health care fight are going to be wearing white in support of this reproductive fight. So you can largely see it on, lines of gender-based lines, I guess would be the best way to explain it. But largely it's not just for women. It's for everyone who supports women, at least in terms of the Democrats here. And then, of course, in terms of Republicans, you see a lot of, a lot of Republicans, both women and men, in support of, kind of overturning Roe v. Wade and banning abortion at all levels. But that's largely because of the partisanship.
All right. Well, thank you, Cameron, so much for taking the time to come on. We really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Cameron Bowden, for speaking with us earlier.